little bit in the, that's your head, right? All right. We're going to do today, so this will be a lot of fun. This is not going to be me talking the whole time. I'm going to give about a 10-minute intro about what I think are some of the key secrets to a killer elevator pitch that you can incorporate in what you do. Then I'm going to go through in about 10 minutes and go through a case study showing one particular company, InfoChimps, that I worked with, and how their pitch improved over 4 or 5 different times. So each pitch is only like a minute or a minute and a half long, but you'll see it from the first time they did it down to when they actually presented at the demo conference. So that's about 20 minutes. And then we're going to have, I've got a bunch of volunteers who prepared a pitch to bring here today. So we got, I see 6 or 8, maybe 10. Okay, great, lots of them. Okay, so we're going to have, after that, everyone who's going to do a pitch is going to line up over here. And we're going to have people come up, and they're going to get 2 minutes to give their pitch. And then I've got Tom Ball here from Austin Ventures, and maybe Naval will be here. I'm not sure if he's here or not. And we'll give them some feedback interactively with everybody on the pitch right there. And so I hope that's going to be really useful. I think it's really great to see lots of different examples and actually see the real feedback that those people get. Hopefully that will be a great way to make some of this practical and take it back home for what you guys want to do with your pitches. So with that, we'll get started. Thanks again for coming. So 5 secrets to a killer elevator pitch. Really, it comes down to me, I think these are 5 of the key things. I've given a lot of pitches, both pitching my own company, and then also as an investor, I see a lot of pitches all the time. I've done pitches where I'm literally in an elevator trying to tell somebody about my company, and also up on stage at TechCrunch and demo and other events like that. And so these are some of the tips that I've come along the way. First one is focus on the problem. I'm going to go into depth on each of these. Second, tell a story. Use 4th grade language, have a killer closing, and practice a lot. So first of all, what is an elevator pitch? I'm sure most of you guys probably know that, so I'll go quickly. But as the name implies, it's the kind of pitch you can give to someone if suddenly they walk into an elevator with you and you realize you've got like 4 floors before they get off, and they turn to you and they're like, hey, what do you do? And you've got on the order of a minute and a half to tell them what you do. And the point of this is not to hit a home run. You're not trying to close the deal right there. You've got a minute and a half. You're not going to convince them to invest in your company or be a customer or whatever, most likely in that 1 minute and a half. You're really just trying to get on base. You're trying to make sure that you get a chance to talk to them more. And so if you do your elevator pitch right, you're going to get more time to talk to them. They're going to want to ask you more questions. They're going to want to learn more about it. And it's not about you don't have to tell them everything. You don't have to tell them everything that your product does. You just want to get another conversation. And it's important that everybody in your company be able to do this, even the programmers. Everyone in your company should be able to give this elevator pitch. They should all be able to talk about what you do. And it should sound the same when they all do it. Everyone in your company should be able to, if they're at the dinner table and their family asks them, what's your company, what do you do? They should be able to tell them in simple words how their company works. Or if they get stuck in an elevator with something. And I've done this a lot. It works whether you're up on stage. This was at a TechCrunch 50. No, that was at SXSW Accelerator, actually, the first one. Or if you're a demo, or if you're doing a 10-minute pitch, or you're a 2-minute pitch. I think most of these same concepts apply. You're just going to tweak them a little bit depending on the environment you're in and where you're giving the pitch. So most people's natural instinct is to start off talking about their solution. Like what it is that they built, the features that it has, and what it does, because that's what they're focused on. That's what they're thinking about all the time, and that's what they're so excited about. But nobody really cares about your solution unless they care about the problem. And that's one of the things you need to realize in your elevator pitch is not everyone you talk to is actually going to care, and that's okay. But you want to find the ones that do. And so the key to really making people care and understand and want to listen to your answer is making sure that they understand the problem and they think that that problem is really important and valuable and worth solving. And if you can get people to resonate with that problem, if you can get people to identify with it, they're going to be asking you questions. They're going to want to know how you solve it. They're going to want to know about the answer. But if you don't hit that first, then you're just pitching them, and people don't really want to be pitched. It doesn't work as well. And so to do that, you really want to focus on the pain. And pain takes a lot of different forms, but at some level, it's, how does this cost time or money? Or make people really upset and angry? You want to touch on those emotional pain points. And when people understand that this is something that's really valuable, it really takes it, that is going to really help people make more money, or save time, or be less frustrated. Those are things that are real pain that people identify with, and people take action because of those things. And they pay to solve those kinds of problems. So the amount of time you spend talking about the problem is going to be different depending on the length of your pitch. And if you're giving a 90-second pitch that's really short, I actually recommend you spend most of the time talking about the problem. Because you don't have that much time. You've got enough time to talk, really make 2 or 3 really quick points. And so you really want to get them engaged and thinking about the problem. If you have a longer pitch, like a 10-minute deadline, well, maybe you spend 2 or 3 minutes talking about the problem, which is still actually is going to feel like a long time because you're so excited to tell them about your solution. But it's still a much smaller portion of the total time. And so this is a little bit of a guideline as you think about the length of time that you have and the kind of pitch you're giving. How much time do you spend up front really building up the problem and what it is that you're solving? So the next thing is to tell a story. Most of the best pitches that I've seen take the form of some kind of story. And a lot of times it's a before and after story. It's kind of like the story of here's what it was like, here's how bad the problem is, here's the pain without the solution. And then you tell the story again, but this time they've got your solution. And now everything magically works so much better and easier and they make so much more money. And so being able to tell that story about how they use it and how they make money with it really helps people identify. And we're all wired for telling and for listening to stories. It's not a surprise. That's why we tell our little kids stories and they like to hear them. The Bible, it's a big, long story. By telling something in a story, by wrapping up in a story, it makes it easy for you to say it the same way every time and to remember it. You're not memorizing a big list of things. You're telling a story. Again, our brains are just naturally wired to do that. And there's a trickle-down effect. By doing that, someone else can tell your story. Somebody else can repeat your pitch a lot easier because you told it as a story. They can remember it much better, and they can go tell it to somebody else. And that's another big side effect you want out of this pitch, right? You want to be able to say it and have somebody else go repeat it and make sense and sound like what you said. And by telling it in a story, you're much more likely that they're going to be able to remember it or to repeat it. So if you start out just listing out your features, if you just start describing your product, a lot of people are just going to tune you out. They're going to nod their head and look like they're listening, but nobody really wants to get pitched. VCs don't want to get pitched. That's like, we let Tom speak for himself, but I think a lot of VCs, they have to sit through these meetings and they know they're just going to get pitch after pitch after pitch. It's not the pitch that they want. They want to get into the problem and the story, and they want to understand what you're doing. And so that's another reason why you really want to tell it as a story and not just list things out or describe features. So another thing that I found is it's really hard to describe your company in a few words to make it short and simple. That's why so many people ramble on and why it takes so much practice. And you'll see in the example that we give how in this one company, they started out and they were pitching their company, and it really changed a lot over time as they learned how to simplify it down. And that's something that we'll touch on later. It takes a lot of practice, but it's really about using really simple words, not a lot of jargon or buzzwords, and also finding the right analogies, things that people can identify with and are going to help them to really understand what you do. Most people's impulse is to use really big words. It makes them feel important, or they talk about these big transitions, and they use all these buzzwords, and it goes from one thing to the other. And as a company, as yourself, you probably have a lot of these specialized words and vocabulary that you've made up, like your own little language within your company, because you talk about these things all the time. And so you roll off these buzzwords as if everybody would know what they are, but actually, a lot of people probably don't know what they are. And no one's going to stop you and ask you to explain. They're just going to ignore it. It's just going to go in one ear and out the other, and they're going to go on, and they're going to miss the point that you're trying to make. And so it's really important to dumb it down, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but to keep it really simple, to use really simple words and avoid the jargon and the big words. This is your audience. This is who you're talking to. No matter who it is, you have to put in your head that you're talking to a fourth grader. And how would you explain this to a fourth grader? How can you get them to understand what you do? And if you can drill it down to that level, I think you're going to find a lot more success communicating it and having other people understand it. You have to resist the urge to use all the jargon and buzzwords. Finally, or fourth thing is, you want to have a killer closing. You want to leave them with something they're going to remember, usually a one-liner. And a lot of times, you'll actually start with the one-liner and end with the same thing because you want them to remember it. You don't want to make it too cheesy. You want to make it something that actually someone would repeat to somebody else, kind of like the story. You want to leave them with this and have it be that as they go out and they talk to somebody else, say, hey, what was that company you saw? They should just repeat that one line you ended with. And that's why it's the thing you end with. That's probably the thing that they're most likely going to remember. So many killer closings are still analogies, like I was saying before. Recycle match is like eHarmony for waste. You probably can figure that one out. Chegg is like Netflix for textbooks. I think hopefully you guys can, just from that one saying, you probably get so ideally, again, you want to come up with that right analogy that helps people understand your business to relate it to something else they already know. And you want to use that often at the beginning and at the end. The last thing is practicing. Practicing is really, really important. And you'll see that in the case study we're going to do in just a minute. So when you want to practice, you want to try to actually recreate the live experience as much as you can. Don't just, it's not nearly as good to read it in a quiet voice to yourself off in the corner and like be like, saying it really fast and just like repeating the words over and over. You're not trying to memorize it. You really want to try to recreate the same situation. And so if you can, stand up and be standing when you do it and pretend like there's a whole bunch of people in front of you. If you really want to be creative, like shine a bright light in your face because that'll be what's happening half the time. Or get real people in front of you, even if it's just a few people in your company or people in your family. But do it in front of real people, try to make it as real as you can, and that's what's going to make it a real experience. And when I say do it as real as you can, don't talk fast, talk slow like you're really going to do. I find with a pitch that the magic number for me is 100 times. When I'm going to pitch 100 times, it just rolls off my tongue. And I'm not memorizing it, I don't have it memorized exactly, but I've done it so many times that I can roll with the punches. If somebody interrupts me and they ask me a question, I can answer them. It doesn't mess me up. I can keep going. And when I say 100, I really mean 100. And 100 is a really lot. Like, it's going to feel like a lot when you've done it 5 times. And when you go, I've done it 5 times. No, you have to do it 100 times. You have to count. You actually keep track. And this is going to take a long time if you really want to get a great pitch. It will take hours and hours of practice. You have to be completely comfortable and be able to improvise. And it's not about memorization. And you should video record yourself. I'd say not every single time, but maybe 5 of the times in that 100, and watch the video. And you're going to be amazed. You're going to learn a lot from watching yourself. You're going to see when you talk too fast. You're going to see when you dance around and move all over the place. You're going to see when you say all the time. And you're going to hear things that just don't flow or don't make sense. And so it's really helpful to record yourself. And I try to do that a lot. In fact, I'm recording this talk right now, and I record most of the talks I give. And I do, push them onto YouTube and other stuff, but it's also so I can go back and watch them and see how I can improve. So these are the 5 secrets that I focus on, the mistakes I see people make over and over and over again. And I really guarantee you that if you can take your pitch and you can try to apply each of them to it, you're going to see it improve a lot. And it doesn't mean that you always have to do these things. It's not like a hard and fast rule that every pitch has to have each one of these components. But if you're kind of new to it and you're getting started, you should do all 5 components. Once you've got your thing down and you feel like you're a pro, okay, go mess with it, go mix it up. But I'd really recommend that you use these 5 things, and it'll really help your presentation kick ass. So that was our quick intro, and some of you might have seen that online. I've given that little part a bunch of times before. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about InfoChimps. They're an awesome company here in town who recently, maybe a year ago, launched at the demo conference, and so they were getting ready for that presentation, and I helped them with that. So it turned into a great case study. And so we're going to watch a series of 5 very short videos, and it's going to take about 10 minutes, and you get to see their first pitch, and then all the way up to where it went to, and I'll give you some of the feedback that we gave them along the way. So hopefully the sound works okay with this.
I'm going to talk to you now about how InfoChimps is opening up a huge, largely untapped market in analytical data. Let me start by just giving you a few examples of what I'm talking about. InfoChimps helps you find data. Tom White at Apache's Hadoop project needed a tool that would allow him. He needed to find data that would allow them to test out his new tools. He came to InfoChimps and immediately found over a terabyte of weather data. InfoChimps helps you share data. No American should have to pay for data collected by the U.S. government. Professor Michael Marder at the University of Texas in Austin did just last year as part of his PhD, as part of his research. He shared his data collected at taxpayer expense on InfoChimps, and now no other educational researcher will ever have to pay for this particular data set again. InfoChimps also makes it easy to
entering an age of ubiquitous data. Did you guys hear that?
Just barely.
Barely. I think some of the other ones are a little bit louder.
Is it up on your?
Yeah, mine's up all the way. So, was yours up all the way? Okay, wow. Hopefully some of those will be a little bit easier to hear. So, the feedback we gave him on that was, you need to simplify the message, say less, give fewer examples, he went through a bunch of them, and make sure that the examples he actually gave are ones that weren't very weird examples that maybe would only apply to a small number of people, but try to find ones that would apply to a lot more people. You're cutting down on the jargon, and then I gave him a lot of the basic feedback that you saw in the in the 5 tip and the 5 sequence part. So let's watch his next step. That was his first one.
InfoChips is a website to find, share, or sell any data set in the world. 150,000 visitors have already come to looking for data on everything from adoption statistics to zip code locations. You can find massive data sets like the US Census or the global weather data for a whole century, and tiny data sets like the time, nature, and casualty rate in every single rapid movie. These data sets leave a vast connected web of knowledge on our website. A journalist comes looking for, let me give you a few examples of how people are already using InfoChips. A journalist comes looking for political surveys of Iraqi citizens. She finds the data clearly labeled by format and license. She finds out who gathered it and how they collected it. It's all listed on the datasets page. While adding the dataset to her shopping cart, she discovers connections to other charts showing the rate of military and civilian casualties for both the Iraqi wars and to UN development data for the whole Middle East. Other data sets that might help enrich the article she's about to write. People find insights into the data worlds away from those who gathered it. Mr. Bergson, an educational researcher, as another example, an educational researcher posts yearly standardized test results for every school, district, and campus in the state of Texas. And a parking meter company posts how often parking spots on the street are available in the day of the year. Combining data sets like these puts the power in the hands of a family to help choose their next home. InfoChips is a website to find, share, or sell any data set in the world. It's work.
So you notice, but they actually recorded that.
In 42.
So in the airport. So they're like frantically, like they're on the way there, they're in the airport, and they're waiting for a flight, and they're practicing recording. So that part was good. They were practicing really well. You're here at the feedback we gave him. He said, okay, you're talking a little bit slower. You need to slow it down even more. And it was still over time. You know, they had a 90-second time limit. And so I said, you know, even if they're not going to cut you off, it's rude to go over time. And it's really impressive if you actually come under time. And so, you know, it's way better if you can cut it down and actually make it succinct. And then on the examples, instead of just jumping right into how good it is with InfoChips, first to give the same example but without InfoChips, to talk about the pain and what it's like without the solution. And then also gave me some feedback on kind of that picture I showed of the different circles of, you know, how long was your talk, how much time should you spend talking about the problem. So we pushed them more about focusing on the problem versus just the solution. We got 2 or 3 more here, and they're going to get a lot better.
My name is Drew Castle, and I'm one of the co-founders of InfoChips.org, a website to find, share, or sell any data set in the world. Finding good data online is hard. Try looking for exchange rates between dollars and pounds for the last century. Google can find you some recent information, but the data set you're looking for isn't even in the top 100 search results. Try searching for lists of zip codes instead. You'll have the opposite problem. Hundreds of results with no obvious way to decide which is the one that's best for you. InfoChips solves these problems. Imagine a journalist who's looking for political surveys of Iraqi citizens. Because data on InfoChips is searchable, categorized, and tagged, she quickly finds what she's looking for, a 2003 survey by the polling firm Zogby International. Because data on InfoChips is connected in a single web of knowledge, she also discovers related data sets about casualty rates and government spending. In just a few minutes, she's able to download multiple connected data sets in the format of her choice that provide her with new insight into her article. We're a young company, and the InfoChips community is still growing, but we already have the largest repository of rich analytical data in existence. If you want to find, share, or sell data, then become an InfoChip, and come visit us at booth 61. Thank you. Minute 24.
So I thought that one was a big improvement over the first 2. The pace was right. He slowed it down a lot. He was taking nice pauses. He didn't look rushed. He was just very comfortable talking about what he was doing. He still had to look over his notes a lot, you can see, which will get better in the next one on that. Did a way better job focusing on the problem first and building it up. You know, he started off, and the problems were much more kind of down to earth. It was like, hey, say you're looking for, it was something about zip codes. You know, it's like, okay, lots of people might be doing something with zip codes. It wasn't some really abstract, kind of obscure problem that a lot of people wouldn't have. And then he was able to tie it back into then how do you do that with info chips. He did a much better job of that. So finished early. At this point, I was like, hey, you guys are doing great. You're in really good shape. You guys are killing it. You're going to do awesome. He was practicing a lot.
I'm Drew Manson from InfoChips.org. Any data set in the world. Finding data online is hard. Imagine searching for currency exchange information for the last 100 years. Google can help you find something recent. The data set you're looking for isn't even in the top 100 search results. Imagine instead searching for lists of zip codes. You have the opposite problem. Hundreds of results, with no obvious way to determine which one's the best for you. InfoChimps solves these problems. Imagine a journalist coming to InfoChimps to find information on Iraqi citizens. Because data on InfoChimps is searchable, taggable, and categorized, she quickly finds a data set that meets her needs. A 2003 poll from polling firm Zogby International. Excuse me. Because data on InfoChimps is connected into a web of knowledge, she's also able to find related data sets. Civilian and military casualties, US government spending, UN development reports. In a few minutes, she's able to leave with multiple data sets in the format of her choice and move on to writing her own. InfoChimps is the largest and best connected repository for analytical data on the web today.
So if you have a data set that you'd like to share, come to InfoChimps and visit us at booth 61.
Is Drew in here? He was here. I don't know if he's I don't know if he was going to show that one. So as you can see, he was practicing a lot. They were practicing over and over and over and over again, right? They were having fun with it, right? They were like, okay, you know, his buddies were there making him do it, his co-founders. They were like, okay, you're in the shower, great. As soon as you come out, you're doing another pitch, right? And then they had some fun, they put this pitch together. But you can see, even though that was funny and it was a joke, it was good. He was a lot better, right? He wasn't looking at any notes. And he could be distracted, right? He was like putting his deodorant on and doing his other stuff, and he could still just keep rolling through it. He practiced it really a lot. He was really comfortable with it. He was able to have some fun with it and give an extra, even that said, give a great pitch. So the funniest part was he showed that pitch to his mom, and I'm just going to read you verbatim her comments on the YouTube video from that pitch, just because they're really funny. Drew, I hope to goodness that none of these are the actual pitches. They all sucked. The bathroom one was spontaneous and well-spoken, but are you selling yourself or InfoChimps? Totally unprofessional. Stop looking at your teleprompter. Memorize the lines, please. Very amateurish. I would not invest in your company. The sum of all three, the content is good. The examples help. The delivery has to be worked on and has to be absolutely professional. You're all big boys now. Playing and competing with other big boys. So go work on it some more. Call after the pitch is done. All the best. Love, Mom. So I agree with all of her feedback. Well, she's obviously a very experienced pitcher. So here's, I think the last one coming up now is going to be the actual pitch they gave demo, which they killed it. It was awesome. I legally downloaded this.
Hello, my name is Brooke Bonsall for InfoChimps.org, a website to find, share, or sell any data set in the world. Finding data online can be hard. Try searching for exchange rates between the dollar and the pound over the last century. Google will help you find recent information, but the data set you're looking for isn't even in its top 100 search results. Try instead searching for a list of zip codes. You'll find the opposite problem, hundreds of results, with no clear way to choose which one is the best for you. InfoChimps solves these problems. Imagine a journalist coming to InfoChimps, searching for data on Iraqi citizens. Because data on InfoChimps is searchable, categorized, and tagged, she's able to quickly locate a data set that meets her needs. A survey conducted and sold by polling giant Zogby International. Because data on InfoChimps is connected into a web of knowledge, she's able to quickly discover other related data sets on military or civilian casualty rates or U.S. government spending during the war. And in just a few minutes, she's able to leave with multiple data sets in format of her choice and move on to writing her article. InfoChimps is the largest and most interesting collection of analytical data on the web today. So if you need to find, share, or sell any data set in the world, do it on infochimps.org. And come talk to us at booth 61. Thank you.
Impressive, huh? So hopefully that was helpful. I ended up helping a lot of people with their pitches, but that one just worked out where they were recording, they were remote, they were flying around, so that every time they would upload it, and then so we had this great little trail of the pitches over time. And I just thought it improved. I mean, it's a great example of how much you can improve over time. You can see him really taking a lot of those suggestions apart and making a big difference. So hopefully you found that helpful. Now we're going to get a little more interactive. So it's your turn to pitch. So if we could have everybody that prepared a pitch or wants to pitch come line up, I guess just right over here. And we're going to go through as many as we can until they give us a number. And Tom, if you want to come join us up here. All is here.
Oh, sorry. Mark DeGorson.
See all those other pitches? Oh, we got a long line. Okay. So, we're going to have to keep this moving really fast. So, you're going to get 2 minutes. When you have a mic, you can stand right up here. You give your pitch. And then Tom will give a little bit of quick feedback. The next person will come up, okay? So, and you can just introduce yourself, your name, and your company.
Okay. I'm Ralph Haygood. Let me see a show of hands. How many of you use business cards? Almost everybody. Okay, now I'll ask some rhetorical questions. Have you ever wished you could take your business cards with you, not just in your pocket where you have to remember to put them, but in your email, over the phone, or on the web? Have you ever wished other people could take your business cards with them, not just in their pockets where they tend to get lost, and on paper where your information tends to go stale? Have you ever wished you could easily make business cards tailored to a particular occasion, like South by Southwest? I wished all these things, so I founded a company to make them happen. It's called Cardvine. With Cardvine, you make, share, and collect virtual business cards. They aren't just raw contact data. Cardvine cards are beautiful, distinctive presentations of who you are, what you do, and how to contact you. Cardvine works in a web browser, on your computer, or your smartphone, like so. That's a Cardvine card. If you wish, you can also print them on paper, like so. You can use Cardvine for free, or for a higher level of service, you can buy a monthly subscription. Try it out at cardvine.com. Cardvine is in public beta as of yesterday. So you can go try it out whenever you want. So far it's just me, but I'm looking for a co-founder to help me spread the word and develop it further. And if you're an investor and you like what I'm doing, I'd be happy to talk with you. Thanks.
So that was great. That was a great job. You're obviously really well practiced. A little bit of feedback would be, one, when you started talking, you talked about the problem at the beginning, but you talked about it abstractly. It was like, I've never wanted to do this, I've never wanted to do that. I real situation of like, here's the, this person walked over and they went to handle their business card, but they didn't have any left. Like, what are they going to do, right? Or like some kind of like thing that everybody goes through that just make it a little bit more real. And then also you need to close it. You never want to say like, thank you, I'm done. You want to say like,
Okay, here's our slogan: Cardline, the cure for the common business card.
there you go. Thanks.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I would say is a lot of people that pitch us, it feels like a bit of a striptease, and that was the beginning there. It took a little bit to get into it before you could have gotten into the problem a little bit faster.
So this is striptease good or bad?
I don't like the striptease.
Well, I did take off my jacket.
Okay, next person, just grab a mic and introduce yourself.
Hello. My name is Gerçek Karakos, and I will launch a product named FriendStream.tv on Startup Bus. So we were on the road for 3 days, and we hacked a lot, day and night, and all night long, and we came up with this product. So what's FriendStream.tv? How many people here watch TV at least like 1 hour a day? Can you see hands? Yeah, many of the people, yeah. So FriendStream TV is an application for everyone who is tired of channel surfing and never finding the show that they want. Average American spends at least 2 hours of his or her time watching TV every day, and God knows how much of this time is spent hopping from one channel to the other one. When you want to relax, wouldn't you rather have to just get relevant content delivered to you instead of having to search for it? So our solution to this problem is FriendStream.tv. FriendStream.tv turns videos shared by your friends into your own personal TV channel that you can access anywhere. FriendStream TV will work on your internet-friendly TV as an application, and if you have an old TV, we provide a hardware that you can hook up to your TV and start watching videos shared by your friends. So I've been pitching this idea for the last 2 days, and people tend to describe us as Flipboard for video sharing. So I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I will be way much more happy than like having 2 million users in a year like Flipboard. So don't forget, FriendStream TV is broadcasting videos shared by your friends, and it's best enjoyed full screen. Thank you very much.
That was a great job. You had a great analogy in there, I think. You described a problem that a lot of people have. I think that was a great pitch.
Yeah, you did a good job. I love the Startup Bus. I wouldn't even spend the first 20 seconds talking about it. This just wasn't actually relevant to the rest of what we did. And then I thought I just would have pushed them. I felt like you talked a little vaguely about the problem, and then about like 40 seconds in, you actually started giving the detailed examples of like, when you're sitting there looking for the next new launch, you don't know what to do, or those examples. And I would try to push the specific part of the talk front. Don't talk generally first, and then get specific. Talk specific at first, and then get general. All right, thank you very much. Yeah, thanks.
There we go. Cool. So Josh actually inspired a couple of tweaks to my pitch, so I apologize, I'm a little out of practice. Hi, I'm Brian. I'm a co-founder of GazeHawk. And by a show of hands, who here uses Google Analytics or some other click-based analytic program? Awesome, most of you. So Google Analytics is really great for measuring things like click-throughs and showing how many people visited your site and clicked through to other pages on your site. But really, most people don't actually click. You have huge abandonment rates, especially if you're doing advertising, where your click-through is maybe a fraction of a percent. So you're really missing out on a ton of data there as to how people interact with your site when they don't choose to continue on. So GazeHawk provides eye tracking technology using ordinary webcams. What we do is we take a video of a user using your website, and we figure out where exactly they were looking on the screen as they browse around. This is an immensely valuable piece of data for figuring out what kind of problems your user had and what difficulties they had interacting. Did they not see your call to action, or did they see it but just decide it wasn't enticing enough? This kind of data lets you make some really interesting improvements for usability and conversion rate optimization. On the other hand, if you're an advertiser, this lets you make very, very important and valuable advertising decisions as to how to allocate your resources. Do you want to put an ad? Do you want to buy the top banner ad? Do you want to buy a skyscraper? Do you want to buy a little text? Which one draws the most attention, and which one is going to convey your brand message, which for a lot of brand advertisers is even more important than click-throughs. So I'm Brian, I'm with Gazehawk, and we're making brand advertising relevant to the web.
I thought that was really good. And one thing I think after all of them so far that I'm surprised at is everybody was under time. Everyone's going in like minute 30, minute 40, which is really good. It's good to come in under time. Your pitch is good. I would quantify the pain more. Like I definitely sympathize with myself, but you kind of said how many people use Google Analytics and then how much traffic you're using. I would try to like quantify it. Like on average, most people don't have 80% drop off on their site that people come in and don't click on anything. Google Analytics tells you what they click on. If you don't have a site and all these people really, how much money could that be? What if you get more of those people to convert? Get building up that value prop. And then your slogan is working.
Yeah, I actually used the wrong slogan.
Okay.
Totally.
Yeah, I thought it was great. To build on Josh's point, when I have to go tell my partners about a pitch that I've heard that I think is interesting, we should bring them in to talk to us, data is good. Data is excellent. So if you have some just anecdotal data of X% of this improves X% of this, and that means X dollars to somebody, that would be a good part of this pitch.
Great, thank you. Thanks.
All right. Hi, I'm Bryce. I'm the co-founder of Jolly Digital, and what we're doing is we're making an educational MMORPG, which is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game. And so the problem that we're tackling is that for a lot of people, learning is boring. School is kind of broken, kind of like Seth Prevach said. And so a lot of smart people have tried to fix that by making educational games, but unfortunately they suck. So what we're doing is we're trying to think of an educational game from the ground up, right? So instead of it being static and isolated, what if it could be interactive and engaging and social? What if instead of playing World of Warcraft and leveling up to try to be a master warlock, what if you could try to be an inventor or a historian or a business person? And by trying to get those goals, you level up and you actually learn some stuff along the way. So that's what we're doing. And it's a educational World of Warcraft.
Good job. So one thing that I think that it's always important for me to hear in one of these pitches is, again, the numbers. So what's the business model? How are you going to make money here? I like to try to put those in. And I did like the analog of gaming to education. There's a lot of that going on. So I think the people did that. But just I need numbers.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. If you could quantify it's not working, it's like education isn't working, so if it's some kind of thing about that has the numbers there, that really helps.
So quantify the problem and then kind of the business model? Yeah, I had that, just forgot.
You only took a minute, so like you had, yeah, you could spend 30 seconds or more talking about stuff. Great job.
Help me, everyone. My name's Elaine Crane. Probably like a lot of you, I pay a lot of attention to my coffee and tea, and then use an equal packet, or I did anyway, which is kind of bizarre. So the pain I'm trying to solve is the fact that we are trying to buy sustainable, organic, lovely, all-natural tea and coffee, and then we throw in a petrochemical packet at the end. And so I'm trying to make sugar sexy. And so I have a product to make sugar sexy, and it is sexy, I hope. It's an alternative to sugar cubes. It's super fine sugar, so it dissolves super fast in your drink, which is the problem of a lot of sugars. It has all natural ingredients, including vegetable-derived colorants, and there are different shapes besides just the lame-ass cubes that you might see floating around everywhere. And I don't know what else to say. This is my first pitch like this, so have pity. But yeah, we're bringing sugar back. Eh?
You did a great job. You did really well. And I think you set the problem early everybody pays a lot of attention to their coffee and actually I feel like I had to think about it for a minute to actually know what you meant by that, and you're just it's like you're kind of assuming everybody else is in your head already. But then the next thing you said was perfect. I should have skipped that and gone right into, everybody pays, they get organic green tea, they do this and that, and then they go put some chemical packaging, and then kind of go into that part. But the rest of it, I thought it sounds like a clever product, and you got a lot of good twists on it, and just working on those.
I appreciate the help. If anybody has any suggestions, my Twitter handle is Austin Sugar Mama. So please.
Hi there, my name is Kelly Edgrub, and I own a creative media company, and we have put together a social media site. That's actually what I want to practice pitching. It's called Letterberry. Letterberry is social gone postal. And it started with a question: what if you could write public letters to anybody, browse and comment on other people's letters, and then actually, browse historical letters by trending topic on any date? Now this works whether you want to write a serious letter, like to Barack Obama, telling him how you think he should handle the situation with the earthquake in Japan, or whether you want to declare your love for your crush, or even if you want to write to Charlie Sheen and tell him to stop talking about tiger blood and knitting. So anyway, so it's a lot of fun. Think fan letters, letters to politicians, all sorts of the old-fashioned letter things that our culture has loved and used for so many years. This is where the old-fashioned letter meets real time. So Letterberry is, it's mail, social web style, uncontainable, unpredictable, mail out of the box.
The thing I think that you need to do here is describe the problem you're solving. I don't quite understand what the problem is here that you are solving.
And then I would also, so I would build up the use case a little more, like I got what you were saying, but I'd rather give a bunch of different examples. This thing to do this common theme. I'll give one really specific example, like this person, she was really upset about this, and so she wanted to tell people about it, and so she wrote this big long letter. What was she gonna do with it? She's gonna send it off, and no one's gonna look at it. But instead, she posted it, kind of make it really personal. And then I didn't like her closing it off. There's a lot of big words, and that was kind of pushing me into different directions. I would say this is Quora for something. I don't know what the something is yet, but that's your analogy. Because if you could do like a Quora of this, that I could totally see that.
That's excellent. I should have said that, on Twitter, you only have 140 characters. On Facebook, you can't do trending topics. So in this way, you get to say more if you have more to say, and still benefit from those trending topics to have that collective voice. So absolutely.
Great job.
Thank you.
Hello. Thanks for the opportunity, guys. Thank you all for sticking around, whoever hasn't left. My name is Chris. I work at alltrips.com, and we are a human-driven travel guide company. A few years ago, I traveled to Panama on a surf trip, and I had an overnight layover in Mexico City. So I went to Travelocity and I booked a hotel room, and unfortunately, I was double charged and could not find a hotel. It was 1 a.m. in Mexico City, and unfortunately my French teacher in high school was very attractive, so I did not speak Spanish. So here I am, I'm lost. It's 1 in the morning. The guards with machine guns are ushering me out of the airport. I get to the hotel finally, and I've been double charged, and you just couldn't get any information. So with human-driven travel guides, what happens is we've been there, so our writers have been there. It's like the Lonely Planet on the web. With Save the Trees, we've helped over 30 million people since 1995 plan travel, get the information that they need, and get to the destination, connect to the destination because of humans that help. So there's a phone number you can call. There are maps, there's information that helps you find the information besides just booking the hotel room, just feeling like you got the best deal. It gives you the picture of what this destination is, and as a result, You can tell I haven't practiced this, but I appreciate this opportunity. As a result, we've really improved the vacation experience. We've been there. We want you to come. We want you to connect. Thank you.
So I thought it was good. Number five, yes. I thought it was good. You used a good analogy of Lonely Planet for online travel. You described a good problem that you had. It just wasn't crisp. I think you just need to crisp it up, but it was good.
Yeah, it's great that you started. I thought it was going to be this nice long intro story or telling us going. But I had a little trouble getting the bridge from the and I didn't realize still. Actually, I don't totally understand what the problem was between double booking and double charging. And I was getting, I was like, I double charge me, and I still forgot my file. Anyway, so I was getting lost in all of that, and then it got down to a new person you can call, and I just didn't get the leap. I didn't get to like why that story was relevant to the best example of what you were helping. That's never happened. So I would try to get like a more common example to use, but tell it the same way.
So one thing I would say, just to your point, Josh, related to all of these, I think fourth grade simple is good, and maybe I get this one because I actually have an investment that does similar things to this. So I think you have to know your audience. So that's part of, I think, making a good elevator pitch is knowing your audience. If you can't know the person, what their background is and how they might do. So that was probably a little bit more obvious to me when we were working on it than Josh.
So we're going to keep going. I know this panel's running late, and the gentleman got 6 minutes. Tom has another place he needs to be, so he may need to excuse himself a little bit early, but please do that if you do. And next one.
Hi, my name is Justin Sherrick. I'm the founder of Ninja Finder. I think one of the biggest problems that all of us have is finding the right teams to work with. I think that, William Blake said that execution is the chariot of genius, excuse me. So the biggest problem we all have is finding people. And a while ago when I was back in film, finding the right cast was always the hardest thing. Finding the right crew was the hardest thing. And this was even worse when I found out when I was working as a staffing agency. Has anyone ever worked with a staffing agency as a freelancer in any way, shape, or form? Or had to pay a recruiting fee or a headhunter? All these companies take so much money out of our system, over $1 billion a year. So we designed something called Ninja Finder, where you can actually go on, keep track of all the creatives that you know, make notes, make comments, and be able to look for them when you need them. Not only that, but companies can come on and search, like a dating site almost, by where you are, what you do, what skills you have, even what kind of industry experience you have, and then be able to sort through you visually, because we're all creative. They can actually sort like a filter, like a light box, then review you, and then contact you immediately. And it's not working like a creative staffing agency, which takes, on average, of 30% out of your paycheck. It's sort of Ninja Finder, think of it like adult friend finder, but instead of looking for someone to creatively play with, you want to find someone you want to creatively work with. Thank you.
Yeah.
You had really good, you spoke slowly, you had a good presentation. I think I understand what you're doing and the value. It took me, I didn't really understand it until like halfway through. At the beginning, and again, here's some themes to the feedback here. You gave a couple general examples really fast, and assumed we all knew the problem. And I do know the problem. I do know, building teams is hard, but you didn't really support it with that. You just assumed everybody was there. As opposed to, I would just give one really good example. Like, hey, I was going to have this project. I'm trying to put it together. I needed a graphic designer. I need this person. I need this person. I don't want them all the time. You can kind of like make it more direct with that one.
Concrete examples are better than kind of three descriptions or something. Just one concrete example of a pain point that you felt that other people can relate to. Okay. Great job.
Thanks. Two or three more. That's a long line. So the back of that. Warning sign for that next block.
Test. All right, you guys hear me? Good. What's up, South by Southwest? Yeah! All right. Just to preface this, my pitch is going to be towards a superintendent or a principal because it's in education. All right. My name is Dustin McGraw with Educational Networks. I'm actually the National Sales Director. What we do is we build awesome-looking websites that are really, really easy to update. One of the problems now with schools is that they don't have money. How many of you are educators in here? How many of you got fired last year? Right? Some of you, right? So one of the biggest things is that schools need good-looking websites. There's lots of competition between private schools, charter schools, and public schools. So each of them need to have a great face for the web. A lot of schools 10 years ago, a good website wasn't that important. It wasn't the main form of communication, and it sure wasn't marketing for the school. But the fact is, it is now. So we build custom design looking websites, send a photographer out to the school, make it look badass. Excuse my French. On the other note, sometimes schools don't have enough money to pay a web developer or someone that can update the website constantly, because parents nowadays are going on Twitter and Facebook and different things they want to get information from, but they can't get that from the school website because schools can't afford $60,000, $70,000 a year. So what our product does is put the updates in the hands of the people who have the information, although they have no technical ability. It's a content management system for someone who knows nothing about the internet. Educational networks, we kick ass. There we go.
Good. I love the energy. It's good energy. I think you need to slow down a bit. Yeah, you were quite fast there. You described the problem in a couple of different ways. Schools don't have money. Schools need to market. I think you need to describe a pain point of why that actually kind of narrow down on what the actual pain point is that you guys sell.
Yeah, I completely agree. Energy is really important and really good. It's good to do something different, right? Like when you get this pitch, wake them up, especially if they're doing 20 pitches, right? Like you gotta do something. That was great. But then, like you said, I was having trouble making the jump from the examples you gave at the beginning to the solution, and they weren't really, really relevant for me. So like I said, giving a more good. Thanks, guys. Yeah. So we're gonna have to wrap it here. Thank you all for coming. For those of you that were waiting, tomorrow morning, in front of Ballroom B at 10 a.m., we're having Capital Factory office hours. And so if you want to come talk one-on-one with me or other people there, we're going to have a talk to you like
Where, Josh? Say that again?
In front of Ballroom B, which is on the downstairs.